welcome. This is Sunrise Daily. Yes, it's me.
You see what happens? They come and then they show themselves. But yes, good morning. And it's 26 degrees Celsius here in Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory. Welcome to Sunrise Daily, your daily dose of sunshine. I'm Maupe Ogun Yusuf.
Oh yes, and I'm Ayo Makidewa. I can also tell you it's 28 degrees right now in Lagos. I don't know what is going to come through for the rest of the day, but in Niger State, where we understand that more than 250 children are still being held, the temperature is quite high, both geographically and, perhaps even mentally in the hearts of people. Between 35 and 37 degrees in Niger State as we speak now, depending on what part of the state you're in.
Well, Ayo, it is expected and it's still understandable if both physical and emotional temperatures are high. But I guess a lot of Nigerians are relieved that gradually we're beginning to recover those that have been taken either by abductions or kidnappings, as the case might be. We first of all saw the release of the children in, was it released now, or escape, as they said, in Niger State. Then the full recovery of the worshippers in Eruku. And yesterday, we were greeted with the happy news that the 24 children, the 24 girls who were stolen from a school in Kebbi State, in Maga local government area of Kebbi State, have now been safely returned to their parents. And so we are happy this morning at least we heave a sigh of relief. I do know that a lot of people have questions to ask, and those questions are legitimate.
Absolutely.
Legitimate questions, and I'm hoping that as time goes on, that there will be an open conversation into the questions that people are raising, because they are valid questions. I mean, people want to know where was ransom paid, were they rescued, what exactly was the situation, and we do not need any wool pulled over our eyes. But in the meantime, we're happy to celebrate the safe return of these girls, whilst we also continue to put pressure on the government, both at the federal and the state level, to do all in their power to make sure that those in Niger State, which is where you mentioned the increasing temperature now, are also returned home safe and sound. We understand 50 of those ones have been released, but we're still expecting like another 250. And it's also frightening, when you think about it. I still remember giving that breaking news on Friday, just as we're about to wrap up this program. And it seemed like, initially it was unclear how many people had been taken. Then later we heard it was 52 students. And then much later we heard that the number was far bigger than that, was close to about 300. And you're wondering, how many people came into a school to take away 300 people, including their teachers? And so we wait for the full reconciliation of what has happened in Niger State, the safe return of those ones, whilst, of course, there is also a probe into the current situation, because we understand that the House of Representatives is proposing a bill. This bill is supposed to be legislation, proposing penalties in the next 6 months for government officials. This is not for you and I. Government officials who negotiate ransom payments. Recall that before now, the National Security Advisor, Mr. Nuhu Ribadu, had said over time that Nigerians, should stop paying ransom. And a lot of people said, well, what sort of talk is that? If your loved ones are within the hands of kidnappers, your first anxiety, your first resolve is to have them back safely, and if
at whatever cost.
At whatever cost, and if the government is proving incapable of doing that, you will do whatever it is that you can do to see how they can be safely returned. But it turns out now that there's now a lot of conversation as to how government itself secures the return of these people. Now, while that might remain controversial, because I do remember that in the beginning, kidnapping was not always with us. In the beginning, when we started to see the rise of kidnapping it started with the kidnap of expatriates in the Niger Delta, and then all of a sudden it started to spread to certain other areas of the country where it now became a business. People saw it as something lucrative, and the state governments, especially of the South-South region and also the Southeast region, who felt very threatened by it decided to do something about it. And we saw that in that time they, invested in some technology which should have seen a reduction. So usually we will hear, and this is much later, we would hear that, oh, ransom was paid so that the person is securely, retrieved back home. But then much later, these people were caught. The people who perpetrated that kidnapping, were caught. But as time has gone on now, it will seem that ransom is paid and that is where it ends. That is what it is beginning to seem like. So right now, the House of Representatives, especially the Deputy Speaker, is proposing a bill saying that there should be penalties for government officials who engage in this. But even more significantly for me is the proposal that government officials who authorize unstructured amnesty deals should also face penalties. We have been riddled. I don't know if you have seen this. I'm sure you must have also seen it, all over social media, conversations around government officials who invite bandits.
Are you saying just government? Can we just call them, some of them, what they were? Governors in office?
Governors, yes, indeed.
Governors in office, not just sitting with these guys, but also taking pictures with them?
Yes.
Having conversations with them? I don't know if you saw a video recently of some, I don't know whether it's a Fulani guy or Hausa guy, or whatever, I didn't understand the language. But the transcription, because I had to send it to someone from that area who was telling me, look, what this guy is saying, that we don't do these things by ourselves. We are just herders. We are just farmers. We are just animal husbandry people. But some people from outside Nigeria come, and then when they do this, government officials now give us guns. Government officials, this fellow said, give us guns. The video, as you said, Mankwa, the video is on social media. It's something anyone can see anywhere it is. So these things happen. The question is, and I love the fact that Honorable Kalu is saying what he's saying, but can we probe the ones that have happened before? We are celebrating what happened in Kebbi, and we've heard the spokesperson of the president also speak around all that happened, and what the IG also said, which we'll come to some other time. But can we probe what happened? Remember the Kankara boys? Now, a horde of them were released, and we hear no ransom was paid. Was there any probe done? Were there any arrests made? You can't go to a school, Malkwe, take 300 people easily, no satellite imaging. Come on. Just as you said, we can't even pull a wool over our eyes. The wool is now transparent. We can see it. It's all over the social media. So no one should come. Nigerians know what is happening. And as much as we're trying to keep quiet about this and focus on the real issue, can you at least give us something to work with? Something believable, something people can say, okay, with this information we can rest for now. We know you can't give us all the information necessary, so you don't compromise the process. However, give us something that can give us some respite. This proposition is a good idea, but how about what has happened before? We're talking about government officials. We hear, I read a report where top government officials were saying, we know where these bandits are. Is there a legislation from the National Assembly about these bandits themselves, about going after them?
Yeah, it's a big question. And I think that is why, when you also look at the fact that what has happened in Kwara State, so whilst we are celebrating the return of the 38 worshippers in Eruku, another incident happened again, just yesterday, where,
11 people.
Yeah, 11 people were kidnapped. Again, including women and children from a village, Isakwa village, close to Eruku in Ekiti local government area of Kwara State, were abducted again. So that's why it's important, because people are saying this clearly is beginning to look like business for these people. And they believe that the more people they get, the more money they get, the more they're able to arm themselves, buy arms, and terrorize the entire country. Are we raising up our arms in surrender? But just in case you're wondering how that conversation went on the floor of the National Assembly, here is how it went down.
The House of Representatives convenes a space of growing concerns and the designation of Nigeria as a country of particular concern by the United States President Donald Trump. A delegation from St. Kitts and Nevis, led by the Speaker of the Parliament, as well as a delegation from the United States Embassy, are led into the chamber to witness the proceedings. The session comes days after the United States Congress debated Nigeria's security situation and allegations of Christian genocide.
Nigeria continues to welcome partnership and constructive engagements. At the same time, we cannot accept conclusions that do not reflect the complexities of our security challenges. Our response to the Religious Freedom Accountability Bill has been calm and measured.
Security, growth, and
the House receives a consolidated internal assessment prepared by relevant committees.
Government is still committed to naming and sanctioning the financiers of insurgency and banditry. From what we learned, investigations are going on before these identities are revealed to the public.
Whilst there are religious killings, it will amount to painting the insecurity issue with a single brush to say that that is the only reason why we have insecurity.
The Deputy Speaker raises public concerns around allegations of ransom payments.
Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, despite strong anti-kidnapping laws like life imprisonment, death penalty for kidnapping, the practice continues because it is alleged that government entities negotiate with bandits and pay ransom. That is one of the things that the House must investigate. Criminal penalties for government officials who negotiate ransom or authorize unstructured amnesty deals.
The House then receives contributions from the security committees and regional leaders.
Our Nigerian military is not overstretched. The responsibilities of the Nigerian military are overstretched. It is time to restore the police to its rightful place as the first line of internal defense.
For our borders to be well monitored and for these weapons not to move freely within Nigeria, there is need to also make custom to be what? More proactive than they are now. And what do they need? They need support as well, just like the military.
Mr. Speaker, if the government is not prepared to actually do the right thing that will protect the lives and property of our people, I urge on you, I urge on this honorable House, as a House of the people of Nigeria, to stand up to pay the supreme cost. And that is no more than to shut this House down and to call emergency on any legislative issue and wait until the right thing is taken by the government of the day.
We are the hope of Nigerians, the Parliament. We are the fulcrum of democracy. No problem is too big for the Parliament to handle. We will not shut the Parliament. We will stay here together because we have best brains gathered from all over the country. We will find solutions to our problems. We have faced stronger problems before now, Mr. Speaker.
Plenary is then adjourned to resume the debate the following day, as the House is expected to reach a formal resolution summarizing agreed actions, timelines, and oversight mechanisms. Terry Ikumi, Channels Television News.
Well, that was how the conversation went on in the House of Representatives. It's unclear how the decision is going to swing, whether this bill will move to second reading and be open for public hearing is unclear. But we certainly will wait. And well, in the meantime, we're having conversations on this. And our very first guest this morning, we're starting off with our guest from Kebbi State. I'm sure that they must be relieved. Mr. Usman Anache, who's the national chairman, Grassroots for Peace and Good Governance, joins us right now, all the way from Kebbi State. Thank you so much for speaking with us this morning. You're welcome to the program. I'm sure that you must be relieved to see the return of these girls. Are you?
Good morning.
Mr. Nache, if you can hear me, I was just asking if you're relieved to hear that the 24 girls taken from Maga, the government comprehensive school in Maga, have now been released. Are you relieved to hear that, or do you have any reservations about their return?
No, actually, we don't have any reservation, only that we are very happy. We are very, very grateful to God, Almighty Allah. We are very, very grateful to Mr. President. We are very, very grateful to the Governor of Kebbi State. We are very grateful, Minister of Defense, Chief of Army Staff, Inspector General of Police, Speaker of the House, everybody who contributed one way or the other to see the peaceful release of these abducted children. We are very, very happy in Kebbi State. This is one of the memorable in the history of Kebbi State. And this is very, very commendable. This is where we have to thank God for giving us the leaders that are more concerned with our own plight. So this is very, very commendable. First in the history of Nigeria, the leaders that have their own people at the grassroots, they have the people at heart. Actually, we have been given more concern, especially from the presidency, the National Security Advisor, in fact, everybody from the federal to state. And we have to appreciate and thank our governor, the Kebbi State governor, who at the happening of the incidents, cut up all his official engagement in Abuja and directly fly to that area. So he directly fly from Abuja directly to Maga. So his plane landed in Maga with all other state government officials. And before his arrival, he even sent his deputy to the area with all the state government entrance. So actually, we are very, very grateful to all of them. And we commend our people for their prayers and all over. We are happy. In Kebbi here, everybody is happy. In Nigeria, everybody is happy. And we pray for the release of the other abductees that are in the captive of those criminals.
Indeed, I'm sure that we cannot wait to see the reunion. We understand that today the Minister of Defense will be doing an official handover to the state government, of these girls, and hopefully they will be reunited with their families. But then there are questions as to, whether or not these girls will receive any, any treatment, because people imagine that after you've been taken away in such a violent manner from your school where you were sleeping, I mean, people imagine that those girls might not be in a hurry to go back to school. They will still be reliving what their lives were like, even though we are also seeing videos surfacing on social media which seem to contradict what it is that the Minister of State for Defense has said about whether or not ransom was paid or not. But we are seeing these videos where people are asking them, were you beaten? Were you kept hungry? Were you kept safe? Were you molested? Those kinds of questions. I mean, we saw the video in Hausa, and we're wondering, whether there will be any psychosocial support provided for these girls, just to be sure that, yes, we can see that they're physically fine, but to be sure that they're also emotionally fine and also physiologically fine as well. Would there be any help provided for them in that regard?
Yes. You see, the Kebbi State governor, as everybody knows him, is someone that doesn't take welfare of his people. He takes the welfare of his people very seriously. So in this regard, even if there is nothing that has happened, the Kebbi State government doing the welfare, doing the project, the issue of, it's not only actually these people will be taken care of properly. And as you can see, they are all released in a good health. That is the first thing we have to be happy of. They are released in good health. None of them had any problem. There was no any sign of trauma. The actual video you see on social media of those girls is the actual video at hand. We met with them at the government house, even though most of us were not allowed to follow that route, but we have seen them. We have seen the way the governor received them. We have seen when they come to the government house. So now they will be taken to the hospital facility, and inshallah, they will be released, handed over today. Inshallah, by the will of God, they will be handed over today. So as we have seen them, nobody is in any bad condition. So despite all what you have said, despite all the conditions, the way they have been taken, but actually when you see them, you know that they are in good health. They have been, there was not any problem that is threat to their life, or there's any sign that they are being maltreated or whatever. So they are in good health actually.
Yes.
And
just one more question for you, Mr. Anache, from me. I'm glad that you are the top guy at a civil society organization for grassroots mobilization. Now, every crime that happens in anywhere, at any place, happens in the locality of the particular area. And we have all kinds of things, all kinds of people there. From where you sit, because we've seen these things happen time and again, there's an abduction, they are freed, and then an abduction again, and even before we're done with one, another one has happened, just as like the case in Kwara State, for instance. Now, what are the things you see maybe government is doing, or maybe the communities themselves are doing, to ensure that the communities are not as vulnerable to this kind of criminal activity as they are? Because the question mark we asked about whether or not they're going to get any treatment, it's not just about today, it's about their future as well. So do you see anything in that regard to help the community prepare and ward off any such thing in the future?
Actually, you know, in security situation, the 70% of the security of the area lies with the community, lies with the people. The military are only occupying the remaining 30%. So the community, in every aspect, needs to stand up and cooperate with the government. So the community's responsibility is to report any unusual activities they have seen within their own area. They are to notify the security agencies, and they are to inform the government of whatever they have seen unusual, because that first-hand information is very, very important in any aspect. And you see, the government is always taking the issue very seriously whenever it is reported. Just for example, this abduction, there was a report actually in the initial stage that there's some likelihood of something to happen similar to that, because there are some breaches of law in the part of Niger State. So the governor, on receiving the intelligence information, directed the military to the area. But you see, what happens is that what gave everybody the question mark, and that is why the governor insists, and the ministry insists, and the security agencies insist. But this is not the time of sharing blame or whatever. What we usually do is this. We used to analyze every aspect of the scenario of the problems. You see, that problem of Kebbi State is a little bit different from that problem of Niger State, which has a little bit different again with that of Kwara. So if you observe all those ones, there's a little issues within those areas. So the issues, some of the information that we analyze at the grassroots advocacy is that most of the issues were being handed over to security agencies for them to study those issues, so that those mistakes should not take place again, should not occur again. Because
all right, Mr. Anache, we have to thank you at this time for sharing your joy with us, because I can see that you're visibly very relieved. And we hope that you know, the questions which the governor of Kebbi State has raised, I mean, he was visibly upset, and he reiterated it at the kidnapping of these girls, and it's something you have also underscored, the fact that information was...
And don't forget, there's a welfare package from the governor for even the person that is killed in the school, and for the children also. Okay. Very soon you will hear the package, and the youth will be happy. All right,
that is a relief to hear. I mean, even though, of course, he cannot bring back the life, but at least it will be good to know that his family will be taken care of. We have to thank you for speaking with us this morning. Mr. Usman Anache is the National Chairman, Grassroots for Peace and Good Governance in Kebbi State. Thank you once more.
Thank you very much.
Well, we're still continuing our conversation around what has transpired whilst we seem to be nearing the end of closure in Kwara, I beg your pardon, in Kebbi State, because we still know that questions need to be asked. There are loose ends there that we hope will be tightened, and that the return of the girls' lodger spell case closed, you know. We were hoping that, you know, questions will be answered there, but we're also turning our attention to what has now transpired in another community in Isakpa village, close to Eruku, where this initial 38 worshippers were abducted. And we're speaking with two gentlemen from Kwara this morning. Mr. Wahab Shitu, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, joins us from our Lagos studios. It's good to have you join us on the program this morning. And we also have joining us virtually Comrade Abduraouf Bello, who is a retired university don and also of the Department of Political Science. He's an advocate of Igbomina, liberty, and Northern Yoruba nationality. Interestingly, he's a chieftain of the APC as well. So, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us this morning. So, on the one hand, we really want to celebrate, but certainly this new news of 11 people being kidnapped, after we also heard that 4 people were they killed now on the farm when they were trying to harvest their crops, and then 38 people returned after they were taken from a church in Eruku in Kwara State. It's given us mixed feelings as to what exactly is happening. What is this new siege that seems to have befallen Kwara State? Can you give us your own insights into what you're hearing on the ground? Let me start with you, Comrade Abduraouf Bello.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Nigerians. The crisis on hand, that is the insecurity in Kwara State, is not new. It's not new. It is rooted in the lopsidedness of the 1914 amalgamation. The amalgamation of 1914 was condemned by our political leaders, notably Chief Obafemi Awolowo. He described the amalgamation as Nigeria, amalgamated Nigeria was a mere geographical expression. Sir Ahmadu Bello described it as a mistake. Looking at the underpinnings of these two definitions, we discover that Kwara, especially the Yoruba part of Kwara State, was by accident carved from their kith and kin to be part of, the North. So the current crisis is generated, it has its base in the North, but now spreading into the other parts of the country. So the kidnapping, ransom taking, herdsmen, farmers, crisis, they are designed by a mafia, a northern mafia, to continue to dominate the political space. As a matter of fact, this current crisis started as herders, farmers, clash, which was a design for expansionist agenda of the northern mafia. So we thank God all the crises, in Kwara South, especially in Ekiti and Igbomina areas of Kwara South, are being handled dispassionately by the government. And we are happy that those who are kidnapped in Eruku have all been released. They came back home, peacefully. Those who were kidnapped in Isakpa recently, some of them have also been released. Unfortunately, we lost some lives. there. Now, if you look at the pattern of the attack, it follows the same trajectory of the jihadists. The jihadists. So the crisis is not about religion. It is not. They have to go to the CAC church in order to give it religious coloration to, bring a wedge between the Muslim and Christians in Kwara South. There has never been a religious crisis in Kwara South between the Muslims and Christians. But the bandits they continue to attack churches in order to give it that coloration. And they will never succeed. They will never. Again,
Comrade, if I may interrupt you, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I see that, on the one hand, you're tracing this back to over 100 years ago. I mean, you are tracing the problems back to, you're trying to give it some historical context. Some people will say, oh, this seems to be feeding into something else. I mean, some people have termed it, one of the conspiracy theories that we're currently dealing with. And you seem to be trying to buttress this with what on the one hand, you say they're trying to give it a religious coloration, and yet you call the people who have attacked jihadists, which by itself is also a religious term. And some people say maybe you should just call them what they are, terrorists, and that's precisely who they are. But let me go to Mr. Wahab Shitu, who is in our Lagos studio. I'll give you time. I'll come back to you. I'll give you time to expatiate on what exactly you mean, because some people will say this actually is failure of, of security, failure of governance at the local levels. There are multiple layers to what exactly it is that we're saying, but you are tracing yours, and you're very well within your rights to do so, to, the historical background. But let me see if Mr. Wahab Shitu shares your own definition of what this crisis is all about. Mr. Shitu, thank you so much for your patience this morning. I'm sure that you are also looking with concern at what is happening in your own home state of Kwara. Can you tell us what you're hearing on the ground from the people in your state?
Well, just to correct you, I'm Dr. Wahab Shitu now. I'm no longer Mr. Shitu, so my status has improved. But beyond that, let's go straight. I don't think it is useful to begin to look at what is happening.
Mr. Shitu, I don't know if you heard me.
You said you were asking about my own perspective about what is going on in Kwara State from the feedback I've received from our people at home. And what I'm trying to illustrate is that it is not helpful to begin to color whatever is happening in Kwara State or any other part of the country under the guise of conspiracy theories. So I do not completely share the perspective of the first speaker. I think it is important to see what is going on in Kwara State and other parts of the country as serious crimes against humanity. I am prepared to even share your perspective that this is also a manifestation of terrorism. The people of Kwara South, like other parts of the country, are exposed to terrorist activities, whether in the name of insurgency or in the name of banditry or in the name of, cattle rustling. So what is going on is terrorist activities being unleashed on the people of Kwara State. And it is important for us to recognize that this is a very serious problem that has to be dealt with as such. The people of Kwara South are under siege. Ifelodun people, the people of Ekiti State, Ekiti, parts of Kwara State, and Pategi and all those areas have been in danger of, have been exposed to terrorist activities. And we should see it in that context in order to be able to deal with the problem. Has the government risen to the occasion? Yes. The government, both at the federal and the state levels, have risen to the occasion. By promptly deploying security operatives to the scene and then ensuring some of those affected are released. And so we need to commend government for this. But beyond this, I think it's also necessary for us to, for government to, focus attention on the Kwara State and other communities who are facing this kind of a problem. Not just Kwara State alone, other parts of the country. It would not be useful to begin to apportion blames at this stage. I think as Nigerians, my own advocacy is that we should collaborate with government, we should cooperate with government, we should show more understanding for what is going on. We have a serious problem in our hands, not only in Kwara South, in other parts of the country. And the government is making some efforts. But we can say that the efforts being made by government are not enough, because our security agencies appear to have been overwhelmed by the magnitude of the problem they are confronting with presently. And I also don't think the answer lies in calling for direct foreign military intervention in our affairs.
Just 1 second, Dr. Shitu, if you can hear me.
Yes.
I'm uncertain if you really, if the context of the question that Mark asked is really being given attention yet. We'll take a short break, but when we return, maybe you want to give it a thought or two, which is the fact that these things happen in communities, and communities have their systems. How could this happen? How can we prevent these things from happening again? 2 have happened in Kwara within the space of how many days or weeks? And this can't continue. Every one of us agree on that. But we'll take a short break, Dr. Shitu. When we return, we'll take on that and a number of other issues. To stay with us. Thank you so much for sticking with us. Now, Dr. Shitu, let's quickly come back to you about the conversation and the whole idea of this rising wave of kidnapping, particularly in Kwara communities. Underline the word communities here. The question that is on the minds of a number of people that, and I think Marco mentioned this earlier, we didn't always have kidnapping. These things have come, and we need to put an end to it, because at the end of the day, if we are not careful, we are already determining the lives, the trajectory of the lives of the people that are being directly affected. So, in your own opinion, and from what you know, you talked about what the government is doing. How about the communities themselves? Is there a way we can create some kind of defense mechanism? We hear a good number of people saying that the local government administrations, need to sit up, needs to get up. They have their own security councils as well. They have their own security meetings, security committees, whatever. But it will seem like all of that has pretty much been subsided now for one reason or the other. How significant is that in this new wave of kidnappings, particularly in Kwara communities?
Thank you very much. I think there is no doubt that we need to strengthen community-based protection if we want to address this problem, particularly in Kwara South. First, you have also identified part of the problems. Our borders around Kwara South and the other communities in that area, the borders are porous, which allows the influx of weapons and armed bandits, into these areas without checks. So there's a need for the community, for communities around these areas, like you have pointed out, to strengthen, community-based mechanisms that will stem this tide. And how do we do that? The local government, like as rightly pointed out
administration must be strengthened to address this problem by involving not only community leaders, but also local security architecture like vigilantes and some other measures that could be deployed at that level to ensure that not only is the safety of the people guaranteed, the people have to take over the security of the areas themselves. What I'm saying in this is that they cannot rely on the efforts of the state government alone. The community themselves, at all levels, must strengthen their capacity to deal with these problems. Because some of these bandits enter these communities from other parts of the country because their borders are porous. They are not sufficiently, protected. And if you also look at it very critically, you also find out that the security agencies appear to be overwhelmed. Inadequate support and staffing of the security agencies at the level of the state. You will recall that in the case of the Kwara State, Kwara South situation, when it happened, the state governor had to urgently convey security meetings, state security meeting, where all the stakeholders, traditional rulers, local government chairmen, and some other critical stakeholders in the security architecture were assembled. So I think if you want to address what is going on here, at the level of the community, security has to be beefed up, and then you have to involve everybody in the process. Traditional rulers, local government chairmen of these areas, including local vigilante groups, ought to be mobilized to ensure that they take the issue of security seriously and not leave it in the hands of government and the state or federal level.
Dr. Shitu, just 1 second, if you can hear me, perhaps one of the issues we are dealing with here is whether or not the deterrence, there is any deterrence, or whether or not it is strong enough. Just yesterday, Honorable Ben Kalu is making a proposition, particularly concerning government officials, that criminal penalties, they're proposing provision of criminal penalties for government officials who negotiate ransom or authorize unstructured amnesty deals. That is one. Number two, he's saying mandatory prosecution through the criminal justice system for all banditry suspects. In the first place, I'm not sure if anyone can come out and say we have had some banditry suspects that have been prosecuted. I don't know. Maybe I missed the news. This particular instance we're hearing of, for instance, we hear what the IGP said, and I don't even want to talk about it because I'm still trying to wrap my head around it. So, do you think this provision of the House of Reps is even scratching the surface? And secondly, what exactly can be a strong enough deterrence? Because this has gone on for too long, Dr. Shitu.
I agree with you. There's no way the society can be effectively protected if there are no consequences for criminal infractions. I think the laws are there but in our statute books to deal with problems like this. But the question that we need to answer is whether these laws are effectively enforced and whether culprits are effectively brought to book. And so the advocacy really should be that there should be consequences for criminal infractions. Those who commit crimes against our people, whether in the name of banditry or in the name of terrorism, ought to be brought to book. And then we need to also ensure that the crime of terrorism, for instance, is not assigned to just the Federal High Court to prosecute, because by our laws now, only the Federal High Court has jurisdiction to deal with terrorist, prosecution. We should amend our laws to ensure that even the High Court and some other, cost of that level, or even set up special costs to deal with the scourge. Because indeed, when people get away, kidnapping people with reckless abandon, raiding churches, raiding mosques without consequences, then they are encouraged to do more. So I agree with you that we need to strengthen our law enforcement mechanisms to ensure that those who perpetrate these atrocities against our people are brought to book. I think my own advocacy would be to say, let us treat what is going on as a crime. And you don't pacify those who carry out criminal activities. You apply the law very forcefully and effectively without discrimination in order to serve as deterrent for others who may be inclined to want to engage in such activities. So I think beyond
all right,
that...
Dr. Shit.
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt you. We do have another guest who is still with us virtually, and he's also been very patient. I know that only recently, when the president met with the security chiefs over the weekend, part of what he gave them as a directive was the immediate withdrawal of policemen from VIPs. Some media houses have estimated that that should give us an additional 100,000 policemen available for security and policing the generality of the Nigerian people. So let me go to Comrade Abdurauf Bello, who is a retired professor. Professor, I know that this suspicion of historical context continues to reign supreme, especially when we go back in time and when we look at the nature of what it is that we're currently facing. But some people will say that this has only been made possible because there has been a lack of governance. The local government system has broken down. We do not have local policing, and there's been no local law enforcement. And that if there was at least that barrier and they were overwhelmed, then we would say, oh, okay, maybe these ones are a lot stronger and a lot more powerful than what we had. But we've had none in place. Are you saying steps towards waking up or towards building what ought to be a local government system effectively to be able to at least assure people, residents at the local level, that their lives matter as well?
Well, thank you very much. But before I address your question, let me quickly make a correction. I'm not a professor. I'm not a professor, although I retired as a senior lecturer from the university. Having said that, I mentioned the other time that the bandits are, jihadists. I gave them that classification because, to the best of my knowledge, I'm not aware of any law enacted by the National Assembly of the Federal Republic of Nigeria declaring these people as terrorists. And that is a very great lacuna that has been hindering the federal government to give them the terrorist treatment, the type of which President Donald Trump is expecting from the government of Nigeria. That is why those people have yet to be declared by the federal government as terrorists. So put that one aside. The local government system and the recruitment into the police, etc., are not going to be the solution. They are part of it, but they are not. The solution to the insecurity in this country is to go back to the factory setting of this country, the regionalism. Regionalism where each region or each state or zone, whatever name you call them, will have their own police, their own civil service, their own education system. All these will bring the criminals to book. Before 1966, we had native authority police in Ilorin province, Ilorin Kebbi province. They were up to the task. They face all the security. They understand the terrain. They are familiar with the terrain. But now you bring, indigenous of, Anambra, Kano, Kaduna, to come and police in Kwara State. How can that be effective? It cannot. But I agree with you that the local government system should be autonomous. Yes, and this is what Mr. President has been clamoring for as soon as he assumed office. But the governors are the greatest impediments, the stopping block on this line of thought of Mr. President. So we have to appeal to the governors. The governors, all of the 36 governors, to please act quickly. We thank God the Southwest governors met, maybe on Monday, and they have resolved that they are going to establish their own police in their state. Yes, I expect Kwara also to join them in this, project. The Kwara should join them. Now, the traditional rulers in Kwara State, I think we have to commend them because I understand that each of the traditional rulers contribute. They have established security fund among themselves. One of them is even the Olupako of Share from my own local government, is the chairman of that security committee. They levy themselves. The first class, they pay 200,000 monthly. The second class, 100, third class, 50, and the fourth class, 25,000. So if they can do this much, the government of the state should also remunerate them by improving their welfare so that they can discharge. All crimes are local. There's no way you can police Isapa, Babanla, Okeode, Sahara from Ilori. It is not going to be possible. It is not going to be easy. All right. We have to decentralize all this so that life and property could be secured and safe.
Well, Comrade, I wish we had more time to continue this discussion because you certainly are bringing in insights that we don't get every day. We have to thank you very much for speaking with us this morning. Comrade Abduraouf Bello is a retired senior lecturer at the university. He's also the advocate of Igbominà liberty and Northern Yoruba nationality and a chieftain of the All Progressives Congress. We also had in our Lagos studios Dr. Wahab Shitu, who is a senior advocate of Nigeria. Thank you so much for speaking with us on the program, gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
Well, that's how we draw the curtain on today's program. Thank you so much for being a part of it. We're hoping that, you send us your feedback using the handles you've been saying so far. Thank you for watching. I'm Maupe Ogun Yusuf, and I don't know if Ayo will still be here tomorrow, but fingers crossed. We'll wait and see.
Enjoy the rest of your day, and come on. We'll talk about that. Don't worry, she's going to get it.
Business Morning on top of the hour.